Hey everyone, I'm Lisa Campion, and I'm a professional psychic, and I have been for years and years and years, actually decades now. And as a practicing psychic, I've got to tell you, it really breaks my heart every time I hear about somebody who gets taken advantage of by a fraudulent psychic. So today we're going to talk about how not to get scammed. The pro psychic's view from, I'm going to give you all my industry secrets on how not to get scammed and how to find the real deal. And I just think, it's such a vulnerable time when we come to see a psychic. We're maybe not on our best foot. We're feeling a little vulnerable, and and it just sucks when we get betrayed when we're in that sort of vulnerable state. And honestly, this is a kind of personal thing for me too, because as a psychic, my accounts get hacked, duplicated, especially duplicated every single day, and I never want to see anyone get scammed by a fake psychic. Then the truth is there are so many really reliable, ethical, and highly talented psychics out there, but it seems like for every good one, there are many more scammers, especially these days. And the idea of fraudulent psychics goes back into history a long time. And it starts really with the spiritualist movement of the 1880s. 18 yeah, around the 1880s the spiritualist movement started, and there's some incredibly gifted mediums that still belong to the spiritualist movement, and I have a great respect for the spiritualist church. But they're also, that's sort of when these charlatans and frauds sort of came on board, and scammers jumped on the bandwagon back then, just like now, sort of take advantage of grieving people. There were, old school psychics who kind of um do spirit wrappings, and they later admitted the Fox sisters, they were kind of famous. They got caught and they used their spirit wrappings, were really them clicking their own joints, cracking their toe joints to sort of have, back in that day, the spiritualists would be like, knock once for yes, knock twice for no, and that's sort of how they would do communicating. And some of these, were really, I don't know, um, quite creative. So sometimes they would learn how to kind of like be tied up, and this is, back in the day, and would learn how to move objects even though they were somehow being controlled. They would hide things. They use sort of stage magician tricks actually to show that there were these kind of fake spiritual things happening. And what's really a shame about it, I think, is that there were often real things that were going on too. And it was very hard for people to tell the difference between what was real and what was fake, right? So I think it was so interesting. Harry Houdini, who was a stage magician and also a real believer in spiritual, he really wanted it to be true that there was life after death, and he was looking for a sign. And he went on kind of a crusade to expose fraudulent psychics, but at the same time, he was really looking for the real deal the whole time. And I think that this idea of scamming people is really taken off and gone digital. They're in our DMs, they're in our mail, they're on our TikTok feeds. But once you know what to look for, you can really spot, who's for real and who's not. Scamming psychics use tactics, fear tactics to set the hook, just like old time scammers to target vulnerable people. One of my clients told me about the story how she's like, Lisa, I cheated on you and I went to a psychic. She went to a psychic down on Cape Cod because she's like, I couldn't get an appointment with you. So I really needed to see somebody else. And this lady told her all kinds of horrible things, like that her family was cursed and that her kids would fall ill, and that was due to a curse. I love this part, that her husband's mistress put on her. And that the psychic said she needed to pay her $10,000 in cash to lift the curse. And of course, if she told her husband, it had to be cash. And if she told her husband, then it wouldn't work. What a setup. Now, her husband is a super loyal guy and didn't have a mistress. Fortunately, my client knew that and didn't believe any of this. But I have seen a lot of harm come to people's relationships by What if you believe that? And I saw one couple sadly break up because just no matter what, the wife wouldn't believe that the husband was being faithful, because the psychic told her that he wasn't, but he really was. So, that's kind of tricky. But anyway, this lady, she called she believed her husband and she called the cops. They called the cops, and pretty soon after that, the place was closed down. She was one of many complaints against that false psychic. So a lot of times fake psychics will approach you seemingly out of the blue, seemingly out of nowhere. Real psychics, the real ones, aren't going to slide into your DMs and offer a reading at a really steep discount. If that's going on, that's straight up not the real deal. So you want to also be sure for these are kind of the typical scams that they'll pull on you. The emergency curse scam. I sense a dark energy around you that must be removed immediately. Or the escalating fee game, starting with a small reading fee that suddenly balloons into much more money due to kind of unexpected complications. There's the love desperation ploy, promising to bring back an ex-lover within a specific time frame, which of course can't be done. The inheritance hook, claiming to see future wealth coming, but you have to pay to unlock the inheritance. Then there's this reading, the chain reading trap, which is insisting you need multiple sessions to complete the work, or the family curse con, that your whole family's in danger unless you pay for protection. That's what happened to my client. So watch out for that. And it happens to me all the time. So my accounts, my social media accounts get duplicated and they're done. Those internet pirates are so relentless. It happens to me almost daily. So they use my pictures, my blog posts, my content, so it really looks like it's me. Then they try to friend all the people that are already on my friend list. And so if you get a friend list from somebody you're already friends with, be really suspicious about that. Once that happens, they're in your DMs offering readings at really, really low prices. They promise to tell your future, clear a curse, give you lottery numbers, all the typical things that are suspect, right? You got to be sus about. And if you pay them, you're never going to see your money again, and you'll never get a reading, not even a bad one. And when this first started happening to me, one of my friends called the person left a number, called the phone number, and she said it sounded like a call center in the background, that there was like people talking and a big sounded like a big room full of people talking. So these are organized, practiced scammers. And as soon as Meta takes down the fake accounts, they have another one up, like, I'm seriously, like 10 minutes later. So yeah, just be really, really mindful. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, right? But here is how you find an ethical psychic. So ethical psychics, and there are many, 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 many of these, will help you find your path and empower you to make decisions on your own. They're not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to predict your death. They're not going to give you bad news or talk about a lot of misfortune that's coming your way, right? Even when things are challenging, which of course people go to psychics when things are challenging, they're going to help you. They're going to offer support and help you figure out how to make your own decisions, maybe show you some potential pathways that you haven't seen yet, and empower you in the process. There are really no cure-alls. They don't offer cure-alls, panaceas, silver bullets. They're, one session is going to cure you of a lifetime of trauma and problems, right? So here's kind of a list of things. And also, I think they may really confirm your own inner knowing. I think that's a really valuable thing that can happen with psychics too. So here's some things that you can tell you have a trustworthy psychic. They're totally okay with you taking your time to think things over. Their prices are clear and upfront. There's no mysterious extra fees. They encourage you to trust your own intuition and inner wisdom. They're not going to tell you what to do. They have a real world presence you can verify, whether it's a physical space or an established website. They're happy to explain their process and their limitations. They welcome questions and healthy skepticism. They never claim to be 100% accurate. No psychic is 100% accurate. Anyone who's claiming to be is probably just a scammer. They're focusing on empowering you rather than creating dependency. and they're comfortable saying, I don't know when they don't know, right? So I think that finding a genuine psychic is a lot like finding a good therapist, a good life coach. It should feel right. Um, a- and I think there's a chemistry there too. So chemistry that sort of where you click with somebody, you kind of want to wait for that. Definitely ask your friends for recommendations. So word of mouth is definitely the best way to find one. Do a real quick Google deep dive on anyone you're considering just to see, like, check if there's reviews or reports on bad behavior. And look for like really specific review comments, not just like it was amazing, right? Trust your gut. Like, definitely if something feels off for you, it probably is. Ask them to talk with you before you commit to a full reading. Um, and see if they're associated with any reputable, spiritual or professional organizations. I think all of those things can help you um find somebody who's really reputable and avoid getting scammed. So anyway, I hope that helps. See you next time.